Okay, let's get started on our chair topper. The first thing you need to do is decide what chair you're going to make the topper for and come up with a design that you would like to create for it. Now that's what I did here, and on this first chair topper I'm making two. Is on the front I want to have some lettering in French and stamp it, and the back I want a bow out of tulle, and on the second chair I want a triangle in the back with a tassel, two different colors of fabric, and in the back on the front I want some kind of little design on there, and I want them both lined. So I think it's easier to line a chair topper and tablecloths and napkins than it is to go to the trouble to hem them and all of that. So anyway, that is, we've come up with the design. So in a minute I will show you how to make the pattern for that design, and I want to go over what you'll need for tools and stuff: pins, a large or long ruler or yardstick, scissors, seam ripper, thread, fabric paint, and if you're going to do any stenciling you need stencil letters and stuff like that. I'd buy 2 packages or buy one with double letters. It depends on what you're going to have your lettering. And you're going to need a mounting block. Now I only bought one because they didn't have very many choices, so I went back and bought another one. So keep in mind that when you're making your design, you want your design to be stamped in one application. It's a lot easier to control how it lays on your fabric. So we're going to use 2 for what I plan on doing. Another thing I wanted to mention is parchment paper is great for ironing. Some fabrics require such a low heat that even on a low heat it kind of gets too hot. So I find parchment paper is great. I like it for tracing and other things. It's kind of see-through and it works great. If you find a pattern on the computer that you really like, you can actually trace it if you don't have a printer. You can trace it on the computer as long as you don't have one of those flat screens that you can't. But I have a flat screen and I traced it in pencil and just didn't apply very much pressure. Okay, another thing is you want to get your fabric and decide what you want. I picked this print. I thought it was kind of French looking, and you need about 1 yard for one chair topper the size I'm making. And I got some burlap for the front where we're going to stamp it, and I'm using a sheet for lining. And I have some tulle here that I'm going to make the bow in the back. And you're going to need a sewing machine. This is my old tanker. I love my FAF. And you're going to need to wash and dry and iron your fabric and have it ready before you even start your project. Okay, now I've already cut out my pattern because I did this earlier. So what you need is a big piece of paper bag or brown paper or whatever, a big sheet of paper, and you lay it under the chair you want to make the pattern. And hopefully you have a flat back chair. Mine is curved, so it's a little harder to make a pattern off of, but on a straight back chair it's just real easy. You just outline it. So you can see here, and you take your pencil and you go around like this, and you want to get that curvature. Now it doesn't look like it lines up here, but it does. And you take your pencil and just go around the chair like this. Okay? And then when you get to here you stop, because I'll show you how to do that, because we're just going to make a square line all the way down this way, the length that we want it. Then we're going to go this way over here, and then come up this side and make a straight line right through here. So you're just getting it for the size, and then you go back and you square it up with the yardstick. Okay, so to show you how we did that. Okay, I have it cut out, and you can see when we sew it, it's going to line up on the sides to match the front and back. Now, when I originally decided to make these videos, I had planned on making one chair cover and some pillows. Well, I was not happy with the way the chair cover turned out. I thought I could do better. So I decided to make another video making it different. So I came up short on fabric. Okay, so I had to piece this together. Now, it's pretty close, as you can see, but I had to piece it together. And that's the problem with pattern repeats, and if you don't cut them out properly. Like I said, I'd already cut on this, so I didn't have much choice. But it worked out okay. Anyway, if you're a beginner, don't use pattern repeats. So we have the front and back cut out. Now, if you're working with regular fabric where you don't have to worry about a repeat, instead of cutting it out the way I did here, all in one piece, you can either do it that way or have it on the fold like we did the first cut. Basically, you want to cut two of the first cut that we cut. That is the front and the back. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is cut out the lining. Okay, you can see here where I cut two out. I cut one the first time and cut it out, and then I laid it over the top and cut the other. So there's two pieces here that have a fold. And if you can see, here's one fold, there's two folds. But you don't cut them two out at the same time. You do one and then the other. But I just laid it on top of there to show you what it looked like. Okay, what you have is two or one front and one back of fabric, one front and one back of lining. Okay, so we are going to set this aside, and then we're going to cut out a piece. I decided to use muslin, and I'm cutting out a piece 11 by 24, and I'm going on this one to cut out two of them. Now I already have this laid out. I just need to cut through here. So this is going to be our panel for our lettering, and I am going to double it because it's kind of thin. So, and then I'm going to cut a piece of interfacing because it's really easy to hem them that way. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. But we need to get the fabric stamped so it'll be drying while we're sewing the other parts, and then maybe it'll be dry and we can finish it. Okay, now you want to mark the center of your lettering fabric. So here's center. I marked it. Now I've already set up my block with the lettering on it, and I'm going to paint this with that paint. I'm just using the spout of the paint and painting on here, and just trying not to get too much paint on there. After a few stampings on a practice piece, I did it on the fabric that I'm going to use, and the important thing that I learned on this is I've never done stamping before. But on the smaller letters you have to be very careful not to get too much paint on there. Okay, we have it on there, and it turned out fairly nice. The smaller letters are harder to apply, and they're also harder to clean. So as soon as you're finished stamping, clean them immediately. So now